So women were always the protectors of communities, but somewhere along the way, we were taught to forget that. And as a Muslim woman, I'm reflecting on my faith and womanhood and the tension between the two. If you've ever felt this similar tension, whether you're Muslim or not, whether you have a faith tradition or not, regardless how your spirituality takes shapes, this conversation is for you. Okay, I'm gonna be doing my makeup because I have another video I have to film, and I figured why not just film this while I'm doing my makeup. That way I don't have to do too much editing. So here we are anyway. So I've always felt the most empowered as a woman in my faith. When I read the Quran or when I listen to hadiths, which are stories of the Prophet, I find that it's full of principles that apply to all human beings, right? This idea that we have to deliver and uphold justice for ourselves, for our community, for global society as a whole. It's really empowering to me, at least. Also, I'm looking here because my mirror thing is here. And whenever I feel like I'm out of touch with my femininity, I honestly just dive back into my faith from the perspective of womanhood, looking at it from the perspective of gender. And in some ways, I start to feel more rejuvenated with this idea of being feminine and my womanhood, so on and so forth, right? Oh, this looks weird. Hold on. Here's the irony in all of this, right? I have felt the least empowered as a woman when I'm in environments with people who share my same faith. It's no secret we live in a patriarchal society, like, obviously. And I feel like religion, well, not feel, it's a fact. Religion has been weaponized for many different things. One of those things being religion being weaponized to basically control women. Sorry. For centuries, the patriarchy, men, have found ways to weaponize religion to control women's minds, our bodies, our opinions, our knowledge and education, our emotionality. And when I find myself in environments with other Muslims, there's this tension where I can't really fully show up as myself, right? I have to mute parts of me that ask uncomfortable questions and that lead with emotion, that challenge people to look deeper at themselves, right? The parts of me that make me a good community member are the parts of me that are too emotional or too intense or too questioning. Now, how do I make sense of this? Me personally, I kind of just practice in solitude because I didn't go to masjids a lot after I went to college. It wasn't because I didn't try, right? I remember trying to go to different masjids, but I never felt like I could fully be myself. And I remember consistently asking myself, what is it going to take for me to just go to a masjid, right? What is it going to take for me to just go to Jummah prayer regardless of how I feel? And I kept wishing that there was a female mom, or I was wishing that there was a course that I could take or a club I could join where I would be learning from a female scholar, not a male one. Everything I've learned about religion has come from men. Everything I've learned about how to show up in my religion and what it means to be a Muslim is depicted through men. And when I was younger, most of these messages that I heard about being a good Muslim woman centered around wearing the hijab or becoming a mother. And there are other messages about women, but they were rare. And it often felt like I was sitting through endless talks about what it means to be a good Muslim, but it was mainly just talking about what it means to be a Muslim man, if I'm being honest. And on the rare occasion that they did talk about women, I found myself trying to absorb every word because I wanted to hold on to any piece of knowledge I could about faith and femininity or faith and womanhood, whatever that looked like. And for me, the crazy part, wait, let me check. Okay. And for me, the crazy part is that Khadijah, the first wife of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, she was a businesswoman. She was a very successful businesswoman. She initiated her marriage with the Prophet. She was the first follower of Islam. She financially supported the spread of Islam. And on top of that, she endured a lot of abuse that a lot of the first ummah, which is community for those who don't know, that the first ummah endured because of the fact that they were spreading Islam. When I think about Khadijah, that's what it means to be a Muslim and a woman, right? It's knowing how to support your community by protecting your community and empowering your community. When I learn about Khadijah, I see a model of womanhood that's bold and authoritative. When I learn about Maryam, or Mary, the mother of Jesus, I think about a woman who had unwavering faith, right? And she had a lot of grace in the face of isolation. So I see a lot of dignity. When I learn about Amara, who was a warrior, okay, she fought side by side with the prophet during battle, even protected him. I see a lot of courage. And when I think about the prophet, peace be upon him, his own words, I see his words when he talks about men and women being equal, right? I feel seen. And that's the Islam I know. That's the Islam that shapes how I move through the world and how I move through the world, but also how I interpret the world, right? And at first I thought maybe I'm just too progressive, right? I was like, maybe I'm just too progressive for Muslim spaces. But the deeper I dove into Islam, the more I realized Islam itself is very progressive, right? I mean, all it talks about is peace, justice, and equality for all, providing us guidelines as to how we can live to make sure that everyone is treated fairly and with respect, and that everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. That's what Islam is. Culture just hijacked religion, right? Different cultures, the patriarchy, it dressed this stuff up in religious ideology and religious language as a way of making women suffer. So I continue to practice in solitude. That hasn't changed too much. Outside of interfaith settings, I don't really practice with other people of my faith. And it's become really hard for me to deepen my faith because faith isn't meant to be done alone. It's something that you're supposed to do with community because you're supposed to learn, like, you're supposed to find a community that pushes you, that holds you accountable, that supports you and empowers you. That's the point of community, right? And here's what I've come to understand. Women have always been told that our role is as the nurturer. And I think in some ways that is true. But we're good at nurturing because we're good at protecting, right? We are really good at seeing the danger before anyone else sees it. We're really good at seeing the potential before anyone else sees it. We are good at protecting our community, uplifting our community. And you see that when we talk about people like Khadijah and we talk about people like Amara, Mary, and we look at the prophet's words. We're good at protecting. We've always been the empowerers of change. Just think about any major movement and a woman has been there pushing it. A woman has been there supporting it, uplifting it. When everyone else was broken, a woman was there to put the pieces together. But because we live in a patriarchy, men were also able to use our strength against us. They found a way to do that. That's why I can't really show up as my full self when I'm surrounded by people of my faith, because honestly, I struggle to learn from men. When it comes down to it, the perception of who I'm supposed to be as a Muslim woman is tainted by years and years of oppressive, misogynistic, and inhumane depictions of what it means to be a woman, who a woman should be. And I don't know. It's not... There's just been years of conversation by men about how women should govern themselves, like how we show up in the world, how we govern our bodies, how we should govern our minds, and how we should govern our relationships. And women have been told for centuries about things like this. And we fought back, don't get me wrong. We always have fought back, and we've always made sure to, at this point, where am I putting concealer? We fought back, and we've always made sure to not forget who we are and how we show up for our community. But we also haven't been able to develop the tools needed to fully empower what it looks like to be the protector of our community. We've been really limited in the tools that we're given. And the objectification, that sounds weird. Objectification. I'm saying it weird, but of women, it's not new. And again, it's not limited to our bodies. They objectify our minds and our values and our skills and our labor. And they know we're useful. They know we create change. They know we're the backbones of movements, families, communities. But they can't really let us know that they know that. So instead, they use us while simultaneously working to diminish us. They benefit from our intelligence while questioning our authority. They rely on our emotional labor while calling us overly emotional. They need our work. They need our minds, but they deny us leadership. And this isn't ignorance on the patriarchy's part. This is really strategic. Being the protector can look like raising children and educating them so that they're stronger for future generations. That's possible. That's what a protector looks like. But a protector can also look like being a war strategist and knowing the best ways to defend your community. Being a protector can also be like being an artist and creating artwork that tells the story of your community. It can also look like being a lawmaker, creating policies and laws that help to bring peace and justice and equity to our societies. And then being a protector can also look like simply existing without bringing harm to other people. It's possible. And the thing is that I can't ignore, being a protector also means giving. And we've been doing that for so long. And some of us, if not all of us, I'm sure, are tired and we're really frustrated about that and mad. We've been expected to hold the weight of the entire community while also making sure to not take up too much space to make men feel threatened, right? Within the last few decades, we've seen this movement of women empowering other women to care for themselves, to care for each other, right? To think of themselves and to remember to empower themselves, not to forget themselves. And it's really beautiful. I love it. Truly, it's us breaking down barriers that were imposed on us, that were put on us. And I think it's beautiful to see us heal from this narrative that we have to be selfless 24/7, which isn't possible. But the fact that we have to be selfless 24/7 in order for men to thrive, because apparently if men thrive, then society thrives. But I mean, look at the state of the world. Like, look where that's led us. The only thing left for us to do, I think, to see real change after we empower ourselves and we empower each other as women, is we have to start viewing our community with men. Because human beings, men and women, we weren't meant to work alone together, right? Before the patriarchy was this unappointed dictator of what society should look like, human beings were meant to be cooperative, right? Regardless of gender, to contribute to our community in ways that work best for the group, not just the individual. But then my question becomes with this is, how do we start viewing our community with men if we still live in a patriarchal society that is all about men, right? A patriarchal society that values men over women, a patriarchal society that brings women down and uses misogynistic religious tools or non-religious tools to make us feel less than, right? I don't have the answer to this, and I don't think I need to, because it's not my job to tell men how to be better people. I think that's their work to do. But what I do know is that women need to dive deeper into being the protector of community in ways that speaks to them, right? Whether they're childcare, warrior, scientist, artist, lawmaker, whatever it looks like. And then men have to put in the work to be compassionate and empathetic and to learn to not take all the space and hoard all the power, right? They have to learn to leave space and learn that power comes from the group, not just the one. Me personally, if I'm being honest, I don't think I see myself going to a masjid anytime soon. I want to because I need that community, but I'd rather spend time and resources finding a group of Muslim women to empower each other rather than continue to empower the patriarchy, if I'm being honest. And that's hard because there's a lot of internalized misogyny and patriarchal tendencies that we have because of the system that we live in, and it takes a lot of effort and time to work and break that down. But it's possible, so I really want to find other women who are doing that work as well. Specifically Muslim women, so that I can dive deeper into my faith without feeling like I'm held back, but also other women as well. I feel like I learn from women of all faiths and races and ethnicities and sexualities every day. Anyway, I don't know if I'll find this. I don't really live in a space where I have the luxury of finding diversity among a minority group, like being a Muslim, but I'll try. And if I can't find the space, then I'll just have to create it. Because again, I'm so tired of not showing up as my full self when I'm in an environment with people who share my faith, right? I love my faith, and it's a really, really big part of who I am. And I want to dive deeper into that. I want to grow with it and not stunt my growth, because it's not what other people, men who have taught us, who have hoarded the information and power, have told us is the proper way of strengthening our faith, whatever that's supposed to mean. Islam gave us the blueprint for equality 1400 years ago, okay? But the patriarchy keeps trying to erase the instructions, simply put. And you know what? Women have been the architects for change in communities. We just keep getting written out the story time and time again. So our faith really isn't the problem. Our faith is waiting for us. It's waiting for women to rise again. Not to ask for permission, but to realize that we never needed permission to begin with. Our faith has always known our worth. It's people who forgot, and it's time we reminded them, honestly. It's time we reminded them. 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 time to remind them that women, when we do rise, it's not to overthrow, right? Because we rise to restore balance. We don't rise out of dominance. We rise as a way of returning to what it once was. When it comes down to it, returning to the truth is that understanding. I ran out of storage. Quite embarrassing. Anyway, I think I was talking about, like, at the beginning of creation, like after we were created, we were building a world in partnership, not in hierarchy. And I think that's really important for us to continue to remember. Women have always been the empowers of change, as I've said before. And we were never silent. We were silenced, for sure. We were suppressed. We were erased from the records while our work shaped the world, right? And here's the thing. You can bury a voice, but you can't kill the truth. And I'm ready. I hope you're ready too. But I'm definitely ready to help our truth rise again. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you for watching. Sorry, I just ran out of storage at the end there. That was crazy. But I'm getting ready to film a video that I'm posting Thursday about the forgotten women of faith, right? It's a video diving into 7 women from 7 different faith traditions and the different ways that they have impacted their faith tradition. So please tune into that. Once the video is posted, I'll put it in the description. I don't know if I can edit descriptions, but if I can, I'll put it there. But as always, keep noticing, keep asking, and keep this conversation blooming. Bye.